James, you mentioned yesterday that special teams have been a little bit inconsistent, but where do you think the biggest stride has been made since week one, and how would you evaluate Galliano at this point?
You talking about, is all those questions specific to special teams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, obviously when you come into the year and you don't know who your field goal guy is going to be or your kickoff guy is going to be, then a good percentage of your special teams units and your specialists are unproven. So I think that was obviously a big question mark coming into the season, as well as D tackle and linebacker, like other things we talked about. So there was some growing pains there. Obviously, whenever you have a coaching change and you get personnel changes, staff changes, it takes some time to kind of work through those things as well. And that's why consistency on your staff is so important. But yeah, we gave up too many fakes with the onside kicks or the fake punts or the fake field goals and things like that. Too many of them, but we've also made a bunch of big plays as well. So it's funny because I was just having a conversation with Levis, and this is kind of the situation with all of us. You make the plays that you're supposed to make. So I was having a conversation with Levis, but it really kind of goes in any area about his development as a quarterback. You make the plays that you're supposed to make. And then you got those 5% plays that are special. And I think a lot of young players, a lot of programs focus on those 5%. But the reality is, if you can eliminate the 5% of those plays that get you beat, that's probably just as valuable as these, maybe more so. So what I was talking about with him as a young quarterback from a development standpoint, you got to consistently make the plays you're supposed to make. And I'd rather you focus on eliminating these plays rather than focusing on these other plays. These other plays will come over time, naturally. You don't have to force them, they'll come. And it's the same way with every other unit in special teams. That's where we're at right now. I don't want to spend time focused on the special plays that we've made, and they've been great. Because the reality is, we got to consistently make the plays we're supposed to. And then we got to eliminate the plays, the safeties, the snaps over the head, those types of things. We got to get rid of those.
KJ talked about going back to Michigan.
Haven't really kind of got into that conversation. I usually will overhear some of that stuff. Haven't heard anything from KJ. I'll ask, but I haven't heard anything. A lot of times I'll hear, like when we're going to Indiana and things like that. I heard it with Tommy and some other guys, but I have not heard that.
Just 4 touchdowns in 5 games is improved for anyone, but for it to come to Pat Fryer with a true freshman. What does that do for him? Not just this year, but I mean in 2019, 2020 for his development long term to get this kind of success early.
As you know, I'm not going to talk about 19 and 20 and that kind of stuff, but yeah, I think obviously, it's been great for him. I've told you from the beginning, he's always kind of handled himself with a vet. It never really seemed too big for him. Obviously, like any player, as you have success, it builds confidence. It builds confidence into this weekend. It builds confidence for his future. There's no doubt about it. No different than adversity. I had 2 really good conversations. Well, I shouldn't say good conversations. I had 2 really interesting conversations today. Had a really good conversation with Mike Gesicki, who called, and we had a good conversation about some of his adversity that he had early in his career, and then being able to overcome that adversity, and watches every game and wish the guys good luck and things like that. So it was really good perspective talking to him, and I shared that with the team. Then I got a buddy of mine that I played college football, and his family's facing a lot of adversity, and had a really good conversation with him and talked to our team about that, about how blessed we all are to be at Penn State and coaching college football and playing college football and all those types of things. So to have a guy like Freiermuth who's having a lot of success right now, is going to be able to learn from it, and have Bowers, a guy who's overcome a lot of adversity earlier in his career, and he's starting to really kind of come into his own right now. And then John Holland, who was playing really well early on and has made a few mistakes and now is coming back. That's the thing that I try to express to our guys all the time, is it's a journey. And no different than life and no different than football, it's not always smooth. And I see our guys growing, and I see our team growing. Not as fast as I would like it to be at times, but overall, I see us getting better individually and collectively. And I think Pat's a really good example.
Where is Ricky Slade at in this picture at this point from what he's done? We haven't seen the last couple of weeks. Where is he at?
He obviously did some really good things early on. Got banged up a few weeks back. and trying to kind of work him back in. We need him. We need Journey starting to kind of really come on for us as well. And obviously with losing Mark Allen, we need those two guys to step up for us.
Hey James, you said Don Brown is greedy. So how would you characterize Brent's style?
I think Brent's style is more traditional, and what I mean by that is most people, when they make a defensive call, you know, what we call invert. A lot of people run invert where you're dropping the safety down into the box like we used to do with Marcus Allen a lot, things like that. You're calling that to stop the run, to be able to skew the linebackers, drop a safety into the box late, and try to give you the numbers to stop the run. But when you do that, most people are going to give you the field hitch or the field flat or something to the field. They're taking the numbers away in the box. They may be pressing into the boundary or playing cloud into the boundary to take the short throw away and say, if we're going to give something up, we're going to force a college quarterback to throw the ball to the wide side of the field. That's how most people do it. They're going to take something away and then give you something and understand what they're giving. And everybody on defense should understand that. You know, with the premise that most college offenses won't be able to consistently see what you're giving and be able to make a living off taking that, if that makes sense. That's how I think the majority of people do it. And then you got a small percentage that say, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to load the box up by numbers. I'm going to play press man, and I'm going to play a high-risk, high-reward defense. Most people won't do that because they get burned and give up too many good plays, too many big plays, unless their personnel is just better than yours. You know, I tell you guys, like when I was at Maryland and Florida State, they played that style of defense, but also they were better 9 out of 10 weeks a year than the people they were playing. So that's the world that Don lives in. Don's going to try to take every yard away. He wants you to rush for minus 30 yards a game. He wants to sack and intercept every ball that's thrown. Some head coaches don't have a tolerance for that. Some defensive coordinators don't have a tolerance for that. I remember when I was the offense coordinator at Maryland, we were playing Virginia Tech, and on the road at their place, and their defensive coordinator is respected as anybody. And they played cover zero. And we checked to a cover zero beater to Darius Hayward Bay, and we hit it, and it went 70. And I was like, as the offense coordinator, I'm like, beautiful. No more cover zero. We got him out of it. Next rep, what do you think they were in? Cover zero. You know, and most head coaches and most defensive coordinators don't have the resolve or the mentality to do that. That's his style. He's greedy. And what I think he does the best job of is not giving up big plays. You know, one of the things that we got to do a great job of, they hold. They grab, they hold, they tug, they pull. They get called for it a decent amount, but they also get away with it a lot more. A few years back when we played them, if you guys remember, they had those big corners, 6'3", 6'2", and they at the line of scrimmage, they'd grab the outside part of your shoulders and they would beat you up at the line of scrimmage. They don't have those guys anymore. So now they're playing more of a not off press, but not jamming at the line of scrimmage. They're going to get their hands on you and they're going to run with you and be in your hip. But while they're in your hip, they're grabbing your pants, they're grabbing your hip, they're grabbing your, very, very rarely is it the jersey because you see the jersey. They're well coached at it. But what you will see is you'll see a receiver running and the DB right behind him. They're both running full speed. Then all of a sudden, for some reason, the receiver slows down and the DB runs by him. It doesn't add up. So they do a really good job at those things. So our mentality all week long is we have to fight through those. They're going to grab, they're going to tug, they're going to hold, and it's smart on their part. We got to fight through it, and one of two things have got to happen. We got to fight through it and make the play, or we got to fight through it so hard that the holding or the pull or the tug becomes obvious and it gets called. So that's our challenge this week with our back seven on offense.
So do you tell your defensive backs on the scout team to hold and tug?
Yeah, I've been all over those guys. I'd rather make it harder in practice. And I remember early on here when we would do that, guys would get frustrated with that. But my mentality is I want to make practice harder than what it's going to be in the game. And I want those guys grabbing, I want them holding, I want them tugging, I want to make it difficult. Now the challenge is with the scout team, they're never really worried about getting beat deep. They're never really worried about getting beat on a shallow cross because there's nobody here to see it, you know. So that's always the challenge, is getting it to be a realistic look. Because, you know, typically when you're going against man coverage and you're running a shallow cross across the field, that DB's worried that you're going to catch the ball in space and run away, or if they miss at the line of scrimmage, you're going to run by them for a big play. So that's always the challenge at practice, is how do you get that look and make it as realistic as possible.
Has Trace been able to do everything that you need him to do this week, or because you've never gone through this with him where he's been banged up, and is there, I know with veteran guys there's so many reps you maybe don't need to see?
I guess what I don't understand, and I get it, you guys have to ask questions, but you ask questions that you know I'm not going to answer. You only get so many questions, and you're asking me questions that I'm not going to answer. I don't understand that. So someone send me an email and explain that to me, but you only get so many questions, and you ask me a question, I'm not going to answer. If I tell you, yeah, Trace can't do these things, Michigan's watching you. So it's not that I don't want to answer your question.
We got to ask.
Why? Why would you ask a question that you know I'm not going to answer? You're wasting your time. Ask a question that you think I'm going to answer so you can write about it.
We got one on KJ Hamlin.
Beautiful. Let's go.
How have you seen the opponents react to KJ's presence in this offense, and how have you seen him fight through that extra attention? And how are you putting him in the best spot to succeed week to week?
Yeah, I think that, you know, that is really what we're going to see week to week, with KJ having such a dominant role for us and such big play potential. Obviously, we feel like the slot really helps with that. Now, the issue with the slot is you can get bracket coverage now, where now you have an outside linebacker playing in or outside leverage with a safety over top playing in or outside leverage, and they're basically bracketing him, playing man coverage in and out on him. The challenge for us is if you do that against us, then you're short in defending the quarterback run stuff. It's like if you play two-man against us or against a team with a scrambling quarterback, that's challenging because you got 4 down line rushers, you got 5 underneath guys in coverage and 2 guys deep. Who's got the quarterback? So where a lot of times you'll see us do it and other people, they'll do it from 3 down, which allows you an extra linebacker underneath to spy the quarterback. So there's some of the challenges when you have a guy like KJ in the slot that can make so many big plays. What are you going to do to stop him? Are you going to bracket him? Are you going to play two-man? Are you going to do some of those things? But now that creates challenges with the mobility that we have at the quarterback position. So for us, and what we try to do, we're always trying to get KJ involved, whether it's in our RPO, whether it's in option routes, those types of things that he does well. This should be a game that's good for him because they play man-to-man and he's a matchup problem. And you can be matchup problems because you're KJ and you're quick and sudden, or you could be matchup problems because you're big and physical and can overpower people. So there's 2 different ways to be matchup problems. KJ's that, and we need some of our other guys, tight ends and other guys, to be matchup problems, taking advantage of their God-given gifts, whatever it may be. You know, because typically the good Lord don't give you everything. You're not 6'5" and have KJ's quickness. If that, you'd get drafted right out of high school.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.